Friday afternoon to you, 4 o'clock time for Sports4CLE. Thanks for joining us. Hope your weekend is off to a good start. Browns quarterback coach Bill Musgrave with what he's seen early on from the rookie quarterbacks Dillon Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders. This from Browns Daily.
With Dillon Gabriel, more starts than anybody in college football history, more passing touchdowns than anybody in college football history. You're already smiling.
Well, yeah, you just talk about a body of work.
Yeah, he's got it.
Yeah, he's seen a lot and made a lot of great plays, made mistakes that he's learned from. So that's the key, is getting out there and being able to do it. And both our young guys have had a lot of time on task at the college level.
Yeah, and then there's Shedeur, who has made some beautiful throws. Dillon has as well. So much it's just interesting, the path that led to him being a Cleveland Brown. I think we're certainly better off for it. What's he been like since he's been here? And certainly, yesterday effective in the red zone. What's he shown you, in that room?
They've done a nice job. Both guys, I think, are becoming more comfortable every day, in our language, in the way that we huddle. Because
They haven't called plays.
Not a lot of huddles in college and high school, which is good. It's not the college's responsibility to get these guys ready for the NFL. They're responsible for lighting up the scoreboard and winning games.
Yeah.
So there's no skin off anybody's nose. We're just trying to get them ready to call some plays, get ready with the language, present in an orderly manner, of course, and do the right thing once they get to the line of scrimmage. And they're making strides to do that every day.
I don't know.
Former Jets general manager Mike Tannenbaum with his thoughts on who the Browns should go with as their starting quarterback.
I think it should be Shedeur from day one. When we had Mark Sanchez in New York as a rookie, he started from day one. Things worked out. We had a couple of years of really good success. But if I'm Cleveland, Joe Flacco's a great backup. He's going to be 40. I would have Dillon Gabriel compete with Shedeur. I'm assuming that Shedeur will beat him out. I think he has more ability. And by the end of the season, the Cleveland Browns, Christine, have to know what they have in Shedeur Sanders and Dillon Gabriel. Well, Kenny Pickett just hasn't worked out. He's been a little bit of a journeyman. Maybe you trade him at the end of training camp. But to me, job 1, 2, and 3 is you need to know what you have in Sanders and Dillon Gabriel. And I would play those guys right away, let them have a competition. And in my view, Shedeur has more ability, and I assume he'd be the guy.
Job 1 is actually to win football games. I don't think they're going to punt on the season. The other thing I need to point out, no two situations are exactly the same. And Mike Tannenbaum mentions Mark Sanchez. He was the fifth overall pick in the draft, and he was competing with Kellen Clemens for the starting job. So we're talking apples and oranges relative to Mark Sanchez and the Browns quarterback situation this year. Browns wide receiver Jerry Jeudy, mic'd up at this week's OTAs, gives you an idea of some of the interaction that goes on during these OTAs.
I'm fed up, man.
I heard.
All right.
Ain't nothing but a little bit of content. That's it.
Damn, Joe, you showing your age with that chin strap, man.
This doesn't even come with this. They bolted it on.
That had to be custom. They don't even make this no more.
Got it since 05, bro.
Hey, let's be better than today than we was yesterday, man.
Yes, sir.
Let's do that. Come on. Hey, like I said yesterday, man, they can't with us. They can't guard us. We can't be stopped, bro. The only person stopping us is us. Be great on 3. 1, 2, 3. I'm good though. Real quarterback down. Back though, got a pick. I'm putting it right to the stomach. You gotta give the people what they want to see. Yeah, a lot of room. Get some yak with it.
We will have plenty more on Browns coming up. We'll get some OTA film breakdown video analysis from Lance Reisland. G. Bush will also be joining us. Some news from around the NFL. Former Browns assistant general manager, current Vikings GM Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah signed a multi-year contract extension. Signed it last night. Minnesota is 34-17 with 2 playoff trips since Kevin O'Connell and Adolfo-Mensah arrived. Both are now signed for multiple years ahead. So congratulations to the former Browns GM for getting that contract extension. Jose Ramirez has been on a tear. He extended his hitting streak to 21 games. Last game out against the Dodgers, 3 hits. During that streak, he's hitting almost 400. You see it, 393. 4 home runs, 8 doubles, 12 RBIs. If he can extend his streak to 22 games tonight, it'll be the first time a Guardian or Indian has done it since Michael Brantley back in 2012. Guardians outfielder Nolan Jones talks about Ramirez's day in and day out preparation.
It's unbelievable. It really is. I've told every person, my 2 years in Colorado, everybody obviously asks about him, and I mean, he's 1-1. I mean, the way he plays the game, the way he goes about his business, the way he treats his teammates, it's all the best. I mean, if you are picking a player that you want in your clubhouse, it's Jose Ramirez, because every single day he shows up, he wants to win, and he's just going to give it everything he's got. I mean, stealing 2-3 bases while hitting 300 with a bunch of homers. The guy just does it all. He plays his heart out, and he just cares. It's really fun to be around. It's honestly a pleasure to be around and get to play with him.
Ramirez and the Guardians will open up a 3-game series tonight against the Angels at Progressive Field. Luis Ortiz gets the ball, and he will go against Jose Soriano. Guardians 6 games behind the Tigers in the American League Central at the start of the night. Time for us to take a quick timeout. Browns are up first. G. Bush from the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show and the Barbershop. Straight ahead. Stay with us. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program is dedicated to recognizing exceptional students, teachers, and schools throughout Ohio. Scan the QR code on screen to nominate students and teachers as Academic All-Stars and Teachers of the Month. They must be currently enrolled or teach in grades K through 12. Is your K through 12 school developing students' literacy skills to achieve success in reading? If so, you can nominate your school for the School of the Year. Students can win $100, teachers can win $500, and schools can win $2,500. Scan the QR code, fill out the forms, and nominate deserving students, teachers, and schools today. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program takes pride in honoring exceptional students, teachers, and schools across Ohio. Submit your nomination today. It's fun, fast, and free. Browns are first up on Sports4CLE today. Jerry Jeudy sure looked like a number 1 overall wide receiver for the Browns last year, over 1,000 yards. And to be honest, they probably need him to take another step forward this year. They're expecting him to be the number 1. Jeudy was mic'd up for the most recent OTA.
It's not like a time speed. It's not like, hey, does this guy run a 4.2? It's like, do I feel this guy trying to run by me? If they feel that, they turn their heads. They go open right up. Oh, why you going? Why you going?
Bigger the play.
You got bigger? Nah, you must have got bigger, cuz. You should be like, thank you, bro. I'm working. You got bigger. You got bigger, bro. You've been working hard during the off season. You've been working hard during the off season.
What you put on?
I put like 10 pounds of muscle. 2 and 3 about to go in Cleveland like LeBron James. Good thought, Joe. That was a good ball by Joe.
If I knew that it was going to take you that a little bit extra longer,
yeah,
I might have been able to hold on you, but I'm like, I see the window and I'm here, and then I got thrown off.
I didn't want to go too far inside.
Think of the time clock.
If you go so, if you get pushed down in there,
huh?
I'll keep that guy over there. And if
Okay.
I don't, I'm not throwing it. I just want to throw it to you.
All right, bet.
Let's go to work. Let's go to work, man.
Hey, on that choice, I'm going to restem so I can get my depth a little bit.
You're good. You're good. We'll keep working.
Yeah.
With that, let's welcome in G. Bush from the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show as well as the Barbershop. G. Bush, Jerry Jeudy looked fast. He looked in shape. He looked ready to go. I know it's shorts, but it's good to see that. They need him.
Yeah, listen, he's the guy that's going to get it done for him. He's the guy that's going to be the deep threat. He's going to be the underneath guy. He's going to be the dude that catches the short passes, the long passes, all the above. I will say this, though. We're not even talking about Joe Flacco with this, but did you catch that little tidbit there? Did you see the little, that's that veteran stuff.
Yep.
That really shines through right there. Because I like what he told him. He's like, listen, if you get cut underneath, I just won't throw it to you right there. So that type of stuff is the stuff that you got to get used to. And that's what I like to see people getting with the number one receiver. When Joe Flacco came in last year, he got with Amari Cooper, and they hit it off big. I like to see him over there building that rapport with Jerry Jeudy because, listen, he's going to be, besides Deontay Johnson, one of the guys that's going to be able to get open. He's going to be the number one target on a lot of these plays. I expect to see a lot of one or two man routes from the receivers with maybe Jamari Thrash, Cedric Tillman working in there at that other position. But, Jerry Jeudy is going to need another 1,400 yards, 1,500 yard season potentially for the Cleveland Browns to have any success on the offensive side of the football because if you look at their receiving core, they have the most question marks, I think, in the league right now in terms of what other guys that you got that scare you vertically or what other guys you have that's dependable underneath. So for me, you're going to see a lot of David Njoku, Harold Fannin Jr. You'll see a lot of Jerry Jeudy, but it is very encouraging to see the way Jerry Jeudy is moving out there. He is definitely throwing out the number one receiver vibes.
So OTAs, Myles Garrett wasn't there. Some people, are questioning his leadership. Keep in mind, I preface this question to you. They're in shorts. They're not in pads. Is there any concern at all with Myles Garrett not being there?
None. Zero. Not at all. Myles Garrett is more in shape than everybody in the league, just about. I bet you, if you've watched Myles Garrett and you look at the way he trains his body, the way he goes about it. Look, man, here's at some point we got to get to this. I think Myles Garrett has earned the right to not be at OTAs. You look at Michael Parsons and TJ Watt are in camp, but they want new deals. A lot of people say, well, listen, the owner said they want to show more leadership and things like that. Would you rather some of your younger guys, your McGuires, some of your Alex Wrights, some of your other defensive linemen to get those reps out there? Sure. I'd love to see those guys get more reps. If Myles Garrett's in the building, guess what? You're not going to be getting those same amount of reps. And I always throw this out to people. Now, this is what I've been, I was talking about this the other day on the barbershop. I said, now listen, now if you're telling me that when we talk about these quarterbacks and we have a quarterback competition that people are laughing and joking because people are putting out the stats from quarterbacks during 7-on-7 and 11-on-11. People are saying, come on, man, you're not going to learn anything. This quarterback competition has gone too far. It's just OTAs. You're not going to learn anything from this, guys. Take it with a grain of salt. Here's the problem. Well, if you're going to say that, why would you, if it don't really matter and it don't count, well, why you want Myles Garrett, a defensive player of the year, to come to OTAs then? Like, you can't have it both ways. Does it count or does it not count? You can't on one hand say, I want Myles Garrett to be here because of leadership. And then on the other hand, you say, I can't extrapolate anything from these camps because it's OTAs, guys are in shorts, and we can't learn nothing from the quarterback situation. Well, listen, you can't have it both ways. Either it counts or it does not count at the end of the day. And last year, I believe David Njoku and Joe Bitonio and Nick Chubb weren't at OTAs. We didn't hear much of that. So for me, it's a nothing burger. Myles Garrett will be ready to play. As long as he gives me his 14 and 16 sacks, we'll be all right.
Yeah, and again, linemen not in pads. What are you talking about?
What are we gonna do?
Yeah,
just look at each other.
Yeah, exactly. Sam Weish from NFL Network, and has been on the show a couple of times. Biggest offseason priority for the Browns.
We know that they're trying to figure out if it's going to be Joe Flacco, it's going to be Kenny Pickett, Dylan Gabriel, Shedeur Sanders. But I'm not going with the low-hanging fruit. I'm going to the position group that they've got to throw the ball to. We know Jerry Jeudy, he just had a breakout year last year, catching balls from Jameis Winston. He looked like one of the best young wide receivers in the NFL last year with some uncertainty at that position. But after we get to Jeudy, what is there? There's Cedric Tillman. He had 29 catches last year from the wide receiver spot. Now, he missed some games with a concussion, but they don't really have a ton of other depth right there. They've got Jamari Thrash right now. They're hoping he can emerge. But other than Jeudy and David Njoku, the tight end, those quarterbacks, whoever starts, they're going to be searching for guys to get the ball to.
And we alluded to it earlier. And so I said it wasn't a big deal that Myles Garrett wasn't at OTAs. I think it's a big deal that Deontay Johnson is not at OTAs. Dude needs to come here and show he's ready to play. You have the opportunity to be the number 2 wide receiver. Deontay, come play.
Some people just don't get it. Now, listen, on the other side of the coin, now, if you just telling me, you got an opportunity to come out here and acclimate yourself with whoever is going to be the starter. We know there's a quarterback competition. Why not put your name in the hat with a Joe Flacco? Why not put your name in the hat with a Kenny Pickett or develop a rapport with one of the young guys so that when in time comes that you get an opportunity to shine, they're like, hey, on third down, I'm looking for Deontay Johnson. Hey, listen, on third down, this is what I'm looking at. On this route right here, I'm looking for Deontay Johnson on this deep comeback because I know he can run that route very well. I saw it in OTAs. It's an opportunity missed. And first of all, frankly, he doesn't know the playbook. I mean, receivers are guys that are going to need to understand the playbook, and they need to understand exactly where they need to be. Landmarks, it's a new offense for them. The coaching staff is there. They just came in. This is the opportunity that I would expect a veteran to come in and say, look, I can come in here and do some things and resurrect my career, so to speak. I mean, Deontay Johnson was a guy when he was playing with the Pittsburgh Steelers. He was a guy with Ben Roethlisberger that would look like he was borderline about to break out in this league. He was a guy that was a threat. Now you have the situation where you go to Baltimore, you refuse to play, you're in Cleveland for a cup of coffee. Man, you come in here, and all you got to do is beat Jamari Thrash and Cedric Tillman them out, and maybe Mike Woods, and then you right back in the mix. So I was a little disappointed he didn't come to camp because, the Browns need receivers. He's a veteran. He has some skill set that could be acclimated himself to this offense. But he didn't take advantage. He dropped it. You dropped it, man. You're dropping the ball, man. Finish your breakfast, man. You're dropping the ball right now.
I agree with you wholeheartedly. There's an opportunity. Come seize it. All right. This is from PFF. Biggest strengths, weaknesses, X factors for every NFL team. For the Browns, they say the biggest strength, the defensive line. The biggest weakness, the entire offense. It's a little it's a little harsh. We'll get into that a little bit. X factors, Deontay Johnson. We've talked about him. Rookie to watch is Quinshon Judkins. The offense is a huge question mark, and we've had a couple of PFF guys on, and I think they are a little bit more concerned about the offensive line. I'm a little higher on the offensive line than they are. I think scheme had a lot to do with their struggles last year. But when you look at that, the offensive line, if that's back to where it is or where it was, and DeJuan Jones is okay as your left tackle, he looked like he was in pretty good shape. I think that, with Judkins and Sampson, I think the running game can be pretty good.
Yeah. Listen, I know why people are going at it like this, because they're going to say, listen, I think the Cleveland Browns are going to be, they might win 4 or 5 games this year. And I get it because they were 3-14 last year, the way it we looked at that thing. But I think the Cleveland Browns will be much better offensively going back to what they do best. They looked at the roster. I mean, you guys we talked about it every single week, it seems like, on here. About why the Cleveland Browns were dropping back, going 5 wide, throwing the ball downfield with no receivers. We talked about how Amari Cooper had tight end speed at this point in his career. We talked about, hey, listen, how's about you take some of the pressure off the offensive lineman and run the ball a little bit? Couldn't run the ball. Jerome Ford, nobody could run the ball. Nick Chubb couldn't run the football. And we talked about how the offensive line scheme was. I just didn't know what they were running up front. And people say, hey, gee, you're going kind of hard. I mean, how do you know the offensive line coach wasn't doing what he was supposed to during the season? I said, well, that was the first move they made after the season, wasn't it? That's all you needed to know about what they were running up there and what was effective and what wasn't. Nothing was effective. But I will say this. I like Dylan Sampson. I thought he is a home run hitting guy. He guy had 1,500 yards last year, over 20-some non-touchdowns, has a nose, has a burst. Quinshon Judkins, I believe, should come in right now. 10 should be the number one starting back, ready to go. I believe that he's that type of running back. He reminds me of a bit of a younger Kareem Hunt, maybe a little more burst. But he's put together back there, and I like what they did in the offseason. I like that, they went and got some linemen, they in free agency. They went and got some guys that I think can be possible starters for your team, and I think guys will come back. DeJuan Jones looks like he's in really good shape. He can be a big factor for you. Joe Bitonio came back this year. Wyatt Teller, you got Tevin Jenkins is another guy who is a guy who came from the Chicago Bears. He has starting caliber skill sets. So for me, I think if you get back to what you want to do, you got a guy like Joe Flacco who can run play action, do some things like that. I think you'll get back to offensive that'll be respectable, and that'll be a little bit different from what everybody else is trying to do, because I think they'll go back to the smash mouth football principles.
G. Bush from the Barbershop, as well as the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show, and I are going to step aside, take a quick timeout, other side of the break, talk a little bit about quarterback, a little bit about defense. Sports4CLE will be right back. Stay with us.
At the Ohio Lottery, we make Keno fun your way. So go on, pick your wager. Will it be $1, $2, $10, or more? Your call. Then it's as easy as picking up to 10 numbers. Use any inspiration you like. You can even tag on the booster for a chance to boost your winnings up to 10 times. Every few minutes across Ohio, 20 out of 80 possible numbers are drawn. And if enough of yours match, you win. Keno is always fun your way.
We continue talking Browns on Sports4CLE with G. Bush from the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show, as well as the Barbershop. So a lot has been made by Browns fans, both who like Shedeur Sanders and who like different quarterback competition, about the stats that were reported during the most recent portion of OTAs. Former NFL offensive lineman Mark Schlereth with some important things to keep in mind about OTAs.
This is so stupid.
Thank you.
This is so we get excited about OTAs. Like, what people don't understand is oftentimes in these OTAs, we will script success. Like, as an offense, we'll go, okay, we're going against our second team defense. Let's make sure that we script like a great route combination against a really tough, a defensive look that they're overmatched in. So sometimes you put these things together where it's not necessarily best on best. You want to see a certain thing, and you want it against a certain coverage. So you're going, hey, man, offensively, we're winning this drill today, right? Tomorrow, you get to win the drill. So those things happen all the time. So it's 7-on-7 in these situations, scripted drills. To put any weight into this is just moronic.
But this is also why a lot of teams didn't want to draft them, because where's the Dylan Gabriel highlights? Where's the Kenny Pickett highlights? Where's the Joe Flacco highlights? Why is this a story? There's 4 other quarterbacks doing the same thing in a T-shirt and shorts, and I guarantee you they all look good.
Showed you the Dylan Gabriel highlights. We showed you the Joe Flacco highlights. We showed you the Kenny Pickett highlights. But, G. Bush, everybody is so anxious to get feedback. What I want to see is I want to hear that he's taking coaching. He's getting the reps that he needs to get. He's a likable guy. You listen to him, and you can hear Joe Flacco talk about him. They like Shedeur Sanders.
Yeah, listen, I quite don't understand where people are coming from, where they're confused why it is that the Cleveland Browns and a lot of people in the fan base are excited about Shedeur Sanders or excited about the quarterback competition and why we're charting all those things, right? And I think of it when the national media drills down on it. You know, they're coming from a perspective of they're coming from a really wide viewpoint of the situation. And what they don't understand is this. When you're the Cleveland Browns and you went 3-14 last year, and you're the Cleveland Browns, and we've been through the Baker stuff, we've been through the Manziel stuff. Heck, we can even go back to Tim Couch. I'm old enough to, remember all that good stuff, man, being 43. Listen, when you're looking for a quarterback and your coach says there's going to be a quarterback competition, and you got a guy in the draft that fell further than Aaron Rodgers, a guy that fell further than Brady Quinn or any of these other guys, and he has a large fan base. He can play football. Some people had him as the number one quarterback on his board, Mel Kiper. It's not like strangers had him that high. When a guy like that falls to you in the 5th round, and he comes to camp, and he's playing pretty well, and he looks like, hey, he can throw the ball. Hey, he hasn't acted up. He hasn't had any crazy things he said to the media. Hey, matter of fact, he's actually a really good kid. Why wouldn't you think people are starved for a quarterback would not be excited about it? I get it, it's practice. But one thing Mark Schlereth also has to understand this as well, too. It's all about where in the process you are as an organization. He had the opportunity to play with some of the guys, with John Elway and the Broncos and Davis and all those guys. See, when you guys are playing at that nth degree at the top of the food chain, they forget about where the humble beginnings of something, where it comes from. I always say to people, it's easy to be cynical. We can be cynical all we want to. It won't turn out to be fun because, at the end of the day, your goal is to find a quarterback, develop a quarterback, and get to a point where you have a quarterback to put yourself in that position that the Broncos and the 49ers and the Cowboys and the Ravens, all these other teams have had. But it starts somewhere. And so every single rep to somebody counts. I like the fact that Kevin Stefanski said, hey, we're going to bring in a bunch of other guys and free agents, and we're going to have two different sets of guys working on different fields. And we want to get to see Dylan Gabriel, and we want to get to see Shedeur Sanders. But guess what? We always talk about it. Every coach talks about it, from the Lombardis to the Parcells to the Belichicks. Every single day counts. And yes, it seems to be kind of overstated. And are we going to win the championship based on our steps? No. But what we are going to do is try to put down some foundational steps to say, hey, let's build something so that one day we can get there. And without taking every rep seriously, every practice seriously, competition throughout the training camp, as well as OTAs in the preseason, we can't get there. So yes, for some teams, it may seem a little silly, but for a team that's 3-14, trying to find a quarterback and starting to build some stability where we can say the Cleveland Browns can compete year in and year out in this division, these are the necessary steps. It may sound a little silly, but guess what? In the end, it counts.
Yeah, and you know what? I don't have an agenda. I just want somebody that can play quarterback to play quarterback for the Browns so we can get back to winning some football games instead of watching what we watched last year.
That's all we want. Hey, you can't be mad at people for not wanting to watch what we watched last year. We just want competent quarterback play, and if it's Joe Flacco, if it's Pickett, it's Dylan Gabriel, or Shedeur Sanders, hey, may the best man win. This is what happens when you say it's an open quarterback competition. The Cleveland Browns invited that. Shedeur Sanders or Dylan Gabriel or Pickett or Flacco didn't. They said it, so we got to live with it.
Yeah, and it should be. It quite frankly should be. And you should have four. Four might not be enough because you don't have anybody that's like, that's the guy. So give yourself as many chances as you can to find a guy. Let's talk a little bit about the defense for a minute. Top 2 picks in the draft were defense: Mason Graham, Carson Schlesinger. Is the national media a little down on the Browns defense because it was a 3-win team that we were watching last year? I mean, I look at some of the pieces and I'm like, this defense could be pretty good. What are your thoughts about how the defense could be?
Yeah, when you got Myles Garrett to come back, And you know what you got on that edge. Alex Wright seemed to be a good ball player. Isaiah McGuire looked like he played well down the stretch. You got Mike Hall Jr., who looked to be athletic, a guy that was a problem, people blocking him. You just got Mason Graham. I like the athletic build of Schlesinger back there. You still got Denzel Ward. You still got Grant Delpit. You got some pieces and parts, man. You got some stuff you can look at and say, you don't have to squint too hard to say, oh, this could be a great defense, especially when you. Here's the thing I want to see, though. I want to see. I'm going for the youth movement. All these young guys. I think the Cleveland Browns. You say, we talked about it. What does Andrew Berry need to make sure that this was a home run class? You know, we all said that, and guess what? We need to see home runs. We need to see starters. Schlesinger need to start. Mason Graham, as it should be, a day one starter. Mike Hall Jr., day one starter. Those are 3 young guys in the last 2 drafts that you picked that should be starting. Look, hey, listen, I like the guy. I like Joe Tryon out of Tampa Bay. I like what his skill set is. He's a former first-round pick. I thought they played him out of position a little bit. Athletic Bill from Washington, former first-round pick. I like what the different pieces and parts they got up front. But look, if you can get 3 starters and you've been able to get young starters up the middle where it counts at linebacker, 2 defensive tackles and they're young guys, come on, man. That's a nice move. And I think the Browns with Jim Schwartz and a little retooling and some of the athletes they got, they've been able to flip over their athletic profile. Dalvin Tomlinson, more of a nose tackle. Now, yes, you got Mason Graham that could play a lot of positions up front from 3 technique to 1 technique. You see his former wrestler, quick as a cat off the ball. Mike Hall Jr. is a kind of same type of guy. Now you got 2 guys that can 2-gap penetrate, get up the field, along with Myles Garrett and some other guys. And if those guys show up, Andrew Berry looks like he don't hit a home run because we say Junkins is going to start. And those 3 guys start, and then you're going to get Harold Fannin Jr. that's going to work in a lot with 2 tight end sets. Now you start to see where, okay, I see where we're going with this. All we got to do is figure out whether or not we can get a couple of receivers to catch the football, and we might be onto something.
Yeah, the biggest thing is we were talking about it. Last year, the parts that the Browns had, individual parts, they were pretty good. The whole was not. They got to flip that. The whole has to be bigger. If the whole of a defense is bigger than the sum of the individual parts that they have, they're going to have a top 5, top 10 defense.
I guarantee it, because they have the athleticism, and Jim Schwartz, when you're talking about it, I think you're starting to see it at the linebacker position. You're starting to see it at the defensive tackle position. The profile is different. They want guys that are rangy, fast, can get upfield and move around. Before, they had a couple of guys here or there can do it. Now you're starting to see them do it at all the positions, moving around. And I think that'll be a really big key for them, getting back to what they were, a little more back to where they were a couple years ago.
G. Bush, as always, great stuff, man. Appreciate the time and the insight. Thanks very much.
Appreciate you.
G. Bush, make sure you check him out. Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show, 11 to 1, Monday through Friday. Weekends, catch him on the Barbershop as well. We're going to take a quick time out. So other side of the break, film breakdown, video analysis of some of the players from OTAs. Lance Reisland from the Plain Dealer at cleveland.com. Straight ahead. Stay with us.
Come back to go forward. Back to learning new things. Back to pursuing your dreams. Tri-C has flexible learning options to fit your life. And every year, more than 1,000 local companies provide Tri-C students with real-world learning. The right education can boost your lifetime earning power by hundreds of thousands of dollars. Start now with a college education you can afford. Tri-C, where futures begin.
We continue talking Browns on Sports4CLE. Let's welcome in Lance Reisland from the Plain Dealer and cleveland.com video breakdown film analysis. Lance, you were out at OTAs, some video for us. Take us through, I guess we're going to start with the guys came ready to practice, if you will.
Yeah, the first thing you like is that you're going to see here Zinter and Jones especially, but you're going to see Zinter here. This is not a great black, but what I want you to see is his footwork and how he looks light on his feet. Now you're going to see DeJuan Jones here. DeJuan Jones, there's not a guy in camp who is more impressive. So if I took one thing away from OTAs, which there's not a lot to take away from, those who are wondering who the starting quarterback is or anything like that, they are just in helmets right now, and there is no evaluation whatsoever. The only evaluation that I really got is guys in shape, and Zinter and Jones came in great shape. And Jones, if he can stay in shape, can be an outstanding left tackle. Zinter can be that third guard. And so they have a lot of, those two guys did not have great years last year because of injury. They looked really good physically. I was very, very happy with how they moved, their energy and their pace and sense of urgency. It was really impressive.
All right, so the other thing, and you alluded to it, is the quarterback. At this point, it doesn't mean anything to say this guy was 6 of 9, this guy threw 3 touchdowns. Again, nothing is really if this was a racetrack, we'd be walking the horses around the track before they even have a saddle on them. Having said that, just some observations relative to the veteran quarterbacks and the rookie quarterbacks.
Well, first and foremost, you're going to see here, the 2 older guys looked like older guys, right? So really good dig route. Jamari Thrash played pretty well yesterday. Jerry Jeudy looks like a #1 receiver. You're going to see here Flacco. Both guys, the older guys, just looked like they had been in NFL camps before. Remember, the rookie camp was 2 weeks ago. So these young guys, I don't want to say struggled a little bit, but it's just new for them, and they're learning the game, and they have great role models in front of them. They came off, both older guys always talk to the younger guys. The competition, obviously they're competing, but that's on the outside. With those guys on the field, you can see it, the communication they have. But make no mistake, this means absolutely nothing. And that might be even more than it means, right? So anything less than nothing. But I will say this, Joe Flacco has elite arm talent. Pickett really throws the ball well on the move, has really good feet, can use the different launch points. So they'll be in competition. The young guys have a long way to go, both of them. And yesterday's stuff means absolutely nothing until they start hitting and you get, linemen in front of you. So the older guys are in front just because they're older and more confident. Younger guys have a long way to go, and I think both guys can be successful, but they have a lot of work to do.
Yeah, and you would expect that from rookies in their first OTAs. So the other thing is, Jerry Jeudy, and again, they're in helmets and shorts, but Jerry Jeudy, by all accounts, was catching everything.
Well, going back, you're going to see here what he does here, just a little simple outright here, talk about with Flacco. What he does very, very well, and you said it best, they are in shorts. And what I was looking for is, first of all, physical, your physical shape. What kind of shape did you come into camp? Jerry Jeudy came in, another guy who came into camp really, really, really in shape. So that's why he did catch everything. He was in front of the line. He has good body language. He has good, he leads groups. So he's a good leader with that receiver group that needs a lot of leadership moving forward. But he did a great job. He kind of showed why he's the #1 guy, not for what he did or how he caught the ball. He does those things well, but just the little things. And with a comparable quarterback, he could be even better than he was last year. He moves very well. He can play in the slot and outside. He did both of those things yesterday. Very impressed with him. I think he's just proved that he's a #1 guy, and he'll really be a big help to whoever the quarterback is.
Yeah, and they will be looking for guys that can help in the passing game. So another guy and another rookie is the next one, Harold Fannin. Just some observations from what you see with him.
What you're going to see right here is just a simple drill where he's going to sit or go out. He sees the coach go outside, he sits there. And what he does, he's kind of an old soul. He kind of looks like a veteran out there in terms of how he run routes, how he practices. He's very businesslike. He's not a rah-rah guy. Some guys like that. For me, I like guys that come with great energy. I don't really like guys who are rah-rah guys. I like guys who have great body language. They're in the front of every line. It looks like they like to practice. And Fannin's a guy who looks like he likes to practice. He seems to have a great handle of the playbook already. They're putting him in a bunch of different spots. That lack of skill that, people like you and I wanted, Fannin has really impressed me with his ability to play multiple positions. This 12 personnel that I think the Browns are going to be, in a bunch could be really special with Harold Fannin along with David Njoku.
Could you see them potentially flexing him out and using him even as a third wide receiver just because he moves pretty well for a tight end type?
Yeah, so going back to what we said last week, I really think 12 personnel can be great because of the things he can do. He can split out. If you go 12 personnel and they go 3 linebackers in the game, he's an impossible cover for a linebacker. If they go 12 personnel and the defense goes nickel, now you can run the ball a little bit because you got an extra DB and 1 linebacker out. So that 12 personnel can be very, very good if he can block a little bit. Now he's going to learn that just like Njoku did, but he is a legitimate NFL receiving tight end right now with great run after catch ability.
So in other words, the thing you're always looking for, that's a matchup problem for a defense.
Well, yeah, and what Kevin Stefanski likes to do is that he can actually, because even those young guys, along with Jerome Ford in the backfield, you can go 12 personnel and go empty. And if you go empty now, you can create matchups that you want. You can put the tight ends on the outside and the inside. You can put the back in motion. You can split them out wide. So there's a lot of things you can do in 12 personnel. You get to dictate what the defense is going to do, and I think that's what Kevin Stefanski does very, very well. He's an outstanding play designer.
So let's flip things to the defensive side of the ball. Mason Graham is a guy that everybody's kind of going to pay attention to. Signed his rookie deal, but what did you see from Graham?
Well, you can see, those offensive linemen, you're going to see him here, but you're going to see him kind of crash into the center. And what he does, he just makes a mess. And, my dad used to always say defensive tackles will make a mess. They're hard to block. And you're going to see how he comes down. The center has to catch him. Whitner struggled with him. He had to hold him there. He batted a pass down yesterday. He's only going to get better when the pads go on. So when you see him without his equipment on, he's a big guy, but he's not a Myles Garrett where you go, oh my gosh, look at this physical specimen. He's big, but when the pads go on, you can see the wrestling background. You can see the balance, the hand violence, the ability to deliver a blow. He was really impressive. And again, he's a guy, a lot of guys go down when the pads go on. Mason Graham's going to be a guy who is worth that 5th pick. Once those pads go on, his game elevates. So again, he's going to be really, really good inside. And Myles Garrett's going to like him inside of him a bunch.
So another guy that is new on that defensive line, and Joe Tryon-Shoyinka, the guy that the Browns went out and got in free agency.
Well, you can see him here. He just comes off the edge really, really quick. And the thing that I really like about Shoyinka is, first of all, he's long. He's got long arms. He has great get-off. He kind of looks like that defensive end. He kind of mirrors what Alex Wright looks like. Myles Garrett, obviously maybe not as physically gifted as Myles Garrett, but what he gives you, when he was in Tampa Bay, he played a lot of different positions. He was a stand-up linebacker. He actually dropped into coverage. He played multiple positions inside out. This is a guy who comes in, he can be a 3rd down specialist. He can move inside because he is fairly heavy, but he's a guy who has great pass rush ability. And I think in Tampa Bay, he was asked to do too many things. If he's an edge rusher, especially on a 3rd down specialist, he could be a really impactful guy. He was in the backfield a bunch. But going back to what you said, just look at the quarterbacks, it means absolutely nothing. Physically, he looked good. He had good get-off. But without the threat of being blocked and hit and chopped and things like that, it doesn't really matter. But I thought physically he looked good. His fundamentals look good. His hands look good. He's really long, and I think he's in the right spot in the right scheme now here in Cleveland.
Did you get a chance to look at the rookie running backs? And again, I know I'll preface it by they're in, shorts, and just some perceptions of what you saw relative to their athletic ability.
Well, it's funny. Everybody thinks of them as being opposite, like the old Thunder and Lightning. I don't see them like that. I see them. There's some scheme fits they have, but they both have similar skill sets. Both guys, both guys are a lot faster than you think. Sampson has always thought as a fast guy. Judkins can run too. Sampson's heavier than you think. They both run. I say the big difference for me right now, breaking down the film, more of their college film, and I won't really know until the pads go on. Judkins hits the line of scrimmage with his hair on fire. So those gap schemes where the hole is kind of predetermined before the snap, he's going to be outstanding. So that's why I see him being the bell cow. Sampson's a guy who's a little bit more patient. If you think about back to Le'Veon Bell, right? That patience and then explosion, he has really good patience. So he's a really good zone runner. I think he'll be a really good zone runner at the NFL level. But both guys have similar skill sets. Both guys are physically fit. Judkins has a tremendous lower body, which allows him to take that pounding as the anchor back. So I can see him getting 10 to 15 to 20 carries because he's heavy, and then Sampson will be a great change of pace. But I also think Ford now becomes really, really good because now he's in his job as a 3rd down back. which he's really good at as well. So I think they have 3 new backs, right? And I think that makes that backfield very, very dangerous and as good as it could be without, losing Nick Chubb, which it looks like obviously they're going to do. So these guys are going to make Browns fans very happy. They're both very good backs. They're both they don't say much. I like guys who don't say much. Again, great energy. Seems like a sense of urgency to play, attention to detail. And their coach Deuce coaches them hard. So they'll be ready to go in the fall.
Lance Reisland, as always, great stuff. Appreciate the time and the insight. Thanks very much, Lance.
As always, thanks for having me.
Lance Reisland, make sure you check him out. Always really good film breakdown, video analysis for cleveland.com, as well as The Plain Dealer. We're going to step aside, take a quick time out. We continue talking Browns on Sports4CLE. Stay with us.
At the Ohio Lottery, we make Keno fun your way. So go on, pick your wager. Will it be $1, $2, $10, or more? Your call. Then it's as easy as picking up to 10 numbers. Use any inspiration you like. You can even tag on the booster for a chance to boost your winnings up to 10 times. Every few minutes across Ohio, 20 out of 80 possible numbers are drawn. And if enough of yours match, you win. Keno is always fun your way.
We continue talking Browns on Sports4CLE. Chris Canty talked about Joe Flacco's comments about being a mentor. This from ESPN's Unsportsmanlike.
Mentoring the young player is only going to make that player better, which thereby makes the team better.
Mm-hmm. Now,
you're only as strong as your weakest link. So the whole point of the exercise is that everybody makes everyone better. That's why you go out there and you practice. You're making each other better. Mm-hmm. It's what you're supposed to do. So you do that with the reps on the practice field, with the competition, but you also do that by sharing notes and coaching points in the film room.
Is it different? Question on this.
Ridiculous. It's a ridiculous answer from Joe Flacco.
But is it different when there's only one
No,
position?
It's not different.
Meaning
No,
your
it's
position,
not different.
you could play multiple guys.
It's not different because there's no guarantee that Joe Flacco is going to be healthy for 17 games, especially at 40 years old. It's stupid to not consider trying to do everything that you can to coach these other guys up. Nobody is saying that you have to do your job at a lesser level in terms of performing on the field, but if you can happen to impart some wisdom onto those guys who you're spending 12, 14, 16 hours a day with in training camp, then why wouldn't you do that? And here's the other part that nobody wants to acknowledge, but I'm going to go ahead and say it out loud. Just because you're mentoring somebody doesn't mean you can't be the starting quarterback either. Just because you're mentoring doesn't mean that you're relegated to backup status.
With that, let's welcome in Jacob Roach from the Orange and Brown Report, Barking Browns podcast. When I listened to that, Jacob, I don't think Chris Canty heard the entirety of Joe Flacco's, because that's basically what Joe Flacco then said. You know, he said there's when I'm asked about being a mentor, it's a no-win situation, is what he said. But he said, I have experiences that I can share with the young guys if they want to hear them. I want to share it with them. So he kind of went off, and I was like, he didn't hear all of what Joe Flacco said.
It was funny because when I saw this clip, I kind of went to the official transcript to actually read word for word what Joe Flacco said just to confirm it. And like you said, he literally says, I have a lot of experience. I can talk on those things and hopefully they listen. But then he said, it's not my job to make sure they listen. He's like, it's a lose-lose situation for him no matter how he answers it. Because he's like, if I say I am a mentor, it means I don't want to play good football. And it's just, people see when these clips get posted, a lot of times somebody will just post one line like, I'm not a mentor or something like that, because they're not going to type out the whole thing. And then nobody takes time to even listen to the clip at all because he said exactly what Candy said. Like there was parts that were almost word for word where Flacco's like, I've got a lot of stuff. I can show these guys how to work, but I'm going to lead by example. But it's not my main job. My main focus is not on other players. It's on myself and this team.
He also said how much he likes the younger guys and how they are good guys and it's a good room and they seem to want to learn. So again, it's why Joe Flacco doesn't want to answer that question. That will show you why he doesn't. Let's talk about one of the younger guys, Dylan Gabriel. You wrote an article about how he excels under pressure. Take us through that article and what you're getting at with that.
Yeah, we always talk about that. I can remember like back when Baker Mayfield was here, and there was kind of going into like 2022 or 2021 and some of those seasons, just talking about like, oh, the struggles under pressure. And I remember Joe Burrow, his like second year when they went to the Super Bowl, under pressure, he was insanely good. And that's just a very important metric, because when chaos is going to happen for quarterbacks, so we got to know how they're going to deal with that. And for me, I went and I watched Dillon Gabriel because there's the obvious size limitations. And I'm like, okay, so how does he do when he's under pressure? Like, what does it look like? And that's where I think it really stands out. His best quality is his football IQ. And I think under pressure and against the blitz is where it really shows. You got a guy who has an adjusted completion percentage when blitzed at nearly 80%. Like, that's insane. And it's because he understands how to find and use his blitz beaters. If a guy is blitzing, that means some part in the defense and the coverage, he's leaving something behind. And Dillon does a great job of understanding where those holes in coverage are going to be, because they're bringing extra people, especially at the blitz. He's still at an adjusted completion percentage of 62% when he was under pressure, but it was the when he's blitz that was really the most impressive for me. And then the thing that he does is the ball's out on time. He knows where his answers are. Pete Smith at the OBR said it a bunch. He said, the thing I love about Dillon Gabriel is he always seems to have an answer. And this is where it shows the most. He understands, like we've talked about for years, that Kevin Stefanski does a great job of scheming open wide receivers and giving his quarterbacks easy options. And we need guys that are able to take advantage of that. Dillon Gabriel's fantastic at it. He just processes so quickly, understands, oh, that's where I need to go. I got to get it out now because the guy's screaming in my face. He also uses the athleticism to extend plays. There's some plays where he runs away from Abdul Carter in the Big Ten championship game. Like, he continuously shows that he's an elite processor, understands, if the defense is doing this, then my answer is over here. Or if that guy's blitzing right here in front of me, there's going to be a hole in the zone right there because they're in zone coverage, whatever it is. I just think that is really where he's at his best, is between the ears. And that helps him mitigate some of the size limitations that he has.
So Greg Cosell from NFL Films, talking about the Browns offense and how Harold Fannin fits into it. This is from the Ross Tucker podcast.
I think what Kevin Stefanski wants to do is kind of reset that offense. Obviously, we don't know who the starting quarterback will be, but that, I don't want to say it's irrelevant, but it's irrelevant in the sense that he wants to reset with the run game, and he wants, because they drafted Quinshon Judkins and Dylan Sampson, with Judkins being the feature back. They drafted a second tight end in Fannin to go with Njoku because they want to play more 12 personnel. They want to have that run game be the starting point, which we know Kevin Stefanski, when all is right for his offense, that's the way he wants to play. It all starts with the run game and the play action off of it. So I think Fannin is viewed as kind of the second tight end with Njoku. And Fannin, the best part of what he does is catch the football. Now, I didn't love him, but that's irrelevant. We're talking about his transition to the league, and that's how Kevin Stefanski sees him, and they want to line up and play with 12 personnel.
So, Jacob, I know you did a film breakdown on the OBR of Harold Fannin. Does he fit what the Browns are looking for?
Oh, yeah, man. I love what Harold Fannin brings to the table. He's just incredible after the catch, and it reminds me of the run that David Njoku went on in 2023 with Joe Flacco as his quarterback, just where he's able to find some space, find some green grass, get the ball in his hands, and he's able to eat up yardage. Like, I think a big part of why they did not target a wide receiver in the draft was because they got Harold Fannin. I think that's why afterwards they didn't feel like they had a need, because I think right now Fannin's more of a receiver than a complete tight end. I do not think he's a bad blocker. I know some people want to say he's terrible. I think his technique is a little bit inconsistent, and he needs just a little bit more power as a blocker to move people in the run game. But he's effective. I've showed some clips on the OBR's YouTube channel where he put some guys on the ground. There's one clip of him against Toledo blocking a guy 20 yards downfield. So it's there. They just need to coach him up and kind of refine some of that stuff. But he's just a guy that understands how to attack the defense. He's a good athlete. He gets vertical down the seam. He will, if it's zone coverage, he is going to find the green grass. He's going to give his quarterback an easy target. And then he's kind of, he's a fluid athlete, but at the same time, he looks a little clunky running sometimes. So it doesn't really make sense because he has this little like juke high step move that he does, but he gets past people. He puts people on the ground. He's got a mixture of agility and power in the way he runs, and he just creates extra yardage after the catch. Get him the ball in space, in stride, and he will make big things happen. And I think that goes perfectly for adding that, especially if like Njoku has missed some time over the years and things like that. But I think he can grow and have the same similar type of role, and it makes this passing offense significantly better.
So let's talk about the run game. Judkins, obviously the guy that they wanted. They took him with their second pick in the second round. How does he fit the system, do you think?
I really loved the way Judkins can get outside into the open field. A lot of what he's so successful off tackle because of his burst. I know that he doesn't have the long speed necessarily that Dylan Sampson has. Like he's not a 4.3 guy. He's a high 4.4 guys. And you see him get caught from behind from time to time. But he's so effective outside the tackle in creating big and explosive plays. And he does it in between the tackles too. But it's all about the burst and acceleration. And then he has the power to work through the arm tackles and make sure that, he doesn't go down easily. And it's just, he is a great zone runner because I think he's quick in terms of decisive is actually the word I wanted to use. Decisive because he's going to find and locate a lane, but then he's got the burst to get to the outside and down the field, or he's got the burst to go straight up the middle and then lower his shoulder. He'll run over defensive backs. I think he's just kind of the complete package, He's got a high 4.4 speed. Like he's not slow, but like he's got enough burst and acceleration to get to that top speed to where he can get away from, the defensive linemen and the linebackers, get himself to the second level where he can start doing some body blows to the defense. And he's just that kind of guy where it gets to the fourth quarter and he's carried the ball 15, 20 times and you've been chasing Dylan Sampson and things like that. You get late in that game and it's like, man, he's fast and he's going to hurt me if he lines it up. It's like, I don't want to be tackling that in the fourth quarter.
So here's another question that for you. Let's talk a little bit about the defense. You look at the individual pieces, Myles Garrett, Denzel Ward, even Michael Hall, some of the younger guys, Alex Wright, Greg Newsome, I know hasn't had a great year, but Martin Emerson. What do you think of the Browns? Is the national media kind of playing too much on this was a 3-win team last year relative to defense? I get it with offense. There's a lot of questions on the offense. There's a lot of individual pieces that are pretty good on that defense.
Yeah, and it wasn't that long ago that we saw that defense be really good. Like there were some stretches in some games last year where they were really, really good until they got tired at the end of the game because the offense didn't go over 20 points in like 14 games or whatever the number was, and it was very depressing. But I do think so. I mean, because if you go back and you look at last year's defense and you talk about the deficiencies and the biggest issues that they had on that defense, it was a lot of up the middle. They couldn't stop the run. And they couldn't push the pocket vertically. So what do? They go and they get the best defensive tackle in the class and one of only 5 blue chip players that I had in the draft in Mason Graham, who is a phenomenal run defender. And I know defensive tackle takes some time to kind of develop as a rookie, but I think his run defense translates immediately. And then you got Carson Schlesinger, who's a tackling machine at the back end. And those were the 2 real weak spots. Whereas everybody else on that defense that's there, if they go back to what they've been normally, like Martin Emerson, I've seen 2 good years and 1 bad year. So if I just get the average of that, boom, that's better than I had last year. I mean, in a lot of these guys where it's like they may have had some down years in 2024, but they've been more good than bad in their career, I think we're kind of like sleeping on those guys a little bit. And it's like we fixed the deficiencies up the middle. They brought it because people don't talk about Malik Collins and the pass rush that he'll bring in there in the middle of the defensive line. And they kind of shored it up. And if it stays healthy and if they just play to their ability and then a couple of these young guys take a step forward, this is a top 10 unit in terms of talent. Like I think it's a top 5 defense in terms of talent if they play up to the ability. So yeah, I mean, I understand 3 wins is 3 wins, but we've seen plenty of bad teams have one side of the ball be really good, and I think that is kind of lost in the sauce of them only winning 3 games last year.
Jacob Roach, as always, great stuff. Appreciate the time and the insight. Thanks very much, Jacob.
Thanks, guys.
Jacob Roach, make sure you check him out. Writing for the Orange and Brown Report, he also co-hosts the Barking Browns podcast. That's going to do it for this edition of Sports for CLE. Have a great weekend, everybody. We will see you back here Monday at 4 on Sports for CLE.